Hello comrades, you're watching RedIvanAirsoft and today we'll talk about UKSF loadout for TFB era. And I would like to begin this video with a short disclaimer. I'm not an UKSF expert, guys. I'm just regular Airsofter as you, and I just sharing with you my ideas for the UKSF Airsoft loadout. And also I'm trying to systematize all my knowledge, and I also give you some alternative options for your loadout. So if you like this video, put like and subscribe to my channel. Also on this channel we had a video about UKSF weaponry. If you think that you can add me or correct in some way, put your comment below. And that's another thing I wanted to mention before we start is that I'm not a huge fan of multicam, so we'll basically talk about earlier TFB build before multicam took over. So what is UKSF? UKSF is United Kingdom Special Forces. They consist, different periods of time they had different branches in, but we will not talk about the history, we're only talking about loadouts today. So it consists of SAS, Special Air Service, SBS, Special Boat Service, SRR, Special Reconnaissance Regiment, SFSG, Special Force Support Group, and also they had an aviation wing. So today we're talking about TFB era, Task Force Black, Task Force Night era, which was Iraq company from 2003 all the way till 2009. And we'll begin this conversation with uniforms. In the early 2000s, as a lot of you guys probably know, militaries all over the world started to play with uniforms, and they started to mix the tropical camouflage with desert camouflage. Some people say that it helps you to break your silhouette, and other people say that it just looks cool, and I think both. So Brits, they were the best in it. They didn't just mix DPM with DDPM, they mixed DPM with tricolor desert, DPM with UCP, and later on DPM with multicam. So they beat them all. And if you're talking about these uniforms, first of all, of course, they used this, as I told you before, this tricolor desert, and they used this camouflage with two different uniforms. First was this BDU, battle dress uniform, regular American style uniform, and also they use another interesting uniform, which was close combat uniform. It was American experimental uniform which been tested in Iraq in 2003, which had one main difference from this one, which were pockets on the sleeves, like shoulder pockets right here, with Velcro panels. Later on they started to use UCP, Universal Camouflage Pattern, also developed by United States and tested in Iraq in 2004, and later on adopted by United States Army in 2005. Of course, also UKSF members used domestic uniforms such as DDPM, which is Desert DPM, and regular DPM. Mainly they used smoke jackets like this in regular DPM color. They are really cool, that's why I'm using one of them. Okay, so there were basically three different types of these smoke jackets. The oldest one had black or dark green button on the shoulder pocket. This one is the mid one with Union Jack here. I love this one the most. And also they had the latest one with two big Velcro panels on the shoulders instead of these small pockets. Even after multicam took over, multicam appeared in Iraq and been used by UKSF members since around 2006, and by 2008 it was the main camouflage pattern, and later on MTP joined, but still, even during the multicam era, they still sometimes used DPM smoke jackets. Now let's move to the top. Head gear, and if you're talking about caps like this, it should be any type of Black Hawk tactical cap in any color or with any shade, it will work. And moving to the helmets, there were two types of helmets. First, British-made AC 900, which by the rumors wasn't really working good with headsets. That's why the main one was this one. And in my case, it's Chinese replica of MIG 2000, but UKSF members didn't really use MIG 2000. What they used was Gentex or Gentex TBH2. But since all this Enchased combat helmet, Advanced combat helmet, MIG 2000 and Gentex or MSA helmets look exactly the same. I mean, they had different materials, probably different webbing gear, different thickness of material, but externally they look the same. Looking for differences in them is like, trying to define different models of Soviet cars. Useless topic. Almost forgot. Also on these helmets, not always, but sometimes, quite often, not sometimes, quite often, they used the special mount for the night vision, PVS 21. There were two types of mounts. First one was like small one, screwed on mount. And the second one was, I call it snap-on, because you put it here and also it has like a system all over the helmet to tighten it up. Right now it's pretty hard to find them, and even replicas of them being discontinued. So if you can find one, you're a very lucky person. Moving forward to headsets. They use TCI Liberator 2, Peltor Comtac 1, Peltor Comtac 2, Peltor Comtac 3, sold. Joking. They also used Selex Assault, but it's impossible to find the replica of Selex Assault in Airsoft. That's why a lot of people like me using the Airsoft replica made by Z Tactical of this MSI Sordin, and they're pretty close to Selex Assault, with the main difference the microphone cord or rod, how you call it. It has a little bit different position compared to the Selex, but we're using what we can find, right? Moving forward to the PTT push buttons or PTT adapters, I'm not sure how you call it in English. They used Nexus U94 Peltor adapters, but the most popular, the most kosher one is this TACMIC CT5, which you can find on all these pictures. Moving forward, we come into the gloves, and of course there were a lot of different tactical gloves. The regular black leather United Kingdom Army gloves, some sand color or deep DDPM color gloves, some Oakley gloves, but the most iconic, the most kosher one would be this Black Hawk Solak gloves, and they are awesome, they are comfortable, and they were most popular. So if you still have a chance to find them, because they are pretty hard to find nowadays, you should go for them. You won't regret. Two holsters been used by UKSF members in TFB era were Black Hawk Omega, like this one you see here, which I used with my P228, and Black Hawk Serpa, which we don't have here. If you're talking about belts, the choice is pretty simple. It should be Black Hawk Riggers belt in any color, black, tan or olive. And now, interesting step. We're talking about slings, and why it's interesting is because UKSF members in early TFB era didn't use them at all. What they did, they used some kind of like straps. Some of them used Black Hawk strike strap, which is basically the strap with few carbines, which you attach to your molly section and then attach it to your weapon, which is kind of weird and not really comfortable. But some of them used just like random strap of black or green color, which they attach to the shoulder mount, to the shoulder section of the armor vest with regular zip ties. and then attach it to your weapon, which is totally uncomfortable in my opinion, and that's why I'm kind of cheating here, cutting the edges. And what I do, I use the Magpul MS3, which will be used by UKSF in future, but it came up only in 2013, so it's kind of wrong for TFB era, but the only comfortable belt in my opinion. Next step, which is also kind of tricky, is your iPro. The problem is that looking for UKSF pictures online, you basically see this type of pictures or this type of pictures, and as you can understand, none of them gives you idea about what iPro being used by operators of UKSF. So as I know for a fact, they used the ESS Advancer or Advisor, I don't remember the proper name, sorry, and it's also had the model number V12, so Advancer V12, I guess. And I think they also used some other ESS popular models like ICE or Crossbow, but this part I'm not really expert in, so please, if you know, type it in the comments below. And anyway, I use something else because none of these models, like none the Crossbow, none the ESS V12 fits to my face, so I'm using this ESS roll bar, which is probably a later model, but it's another thing, guys. Having a nice and proper kit, your loadout, it's very important, but safety is even more important. So if some element of your loadout, especially if it's iPro or some other protecting element, doesn't fit you personally, I would suggest you to change it to something else, but safer. And now let's talk about few other small things before we come to the big thing. Of course, if they needed to fix something, they use this Scapa tape in both green and tan colors. And if you're talking about lights, they use this Tika Plus light, which is pretty rare nowadays. And by the way, guys, you won't believe, during this video, this brand new Tika light, which I was looking for around 3 months, I just dropped and broke. So you must, at this point, you just must put like, because of how expensive was this video for me. I broke the only light I could found, and I'll probably won't find any new one, and it's all for you guys. So now we came to the most interesting part, to the body armor. So the most iconic, the most popular was this MSA Paracleat RAF model 05. By the way, RAF stands for Releasable Armored Vest, and as I know, this was the first ever releasable armored vest. I'm not sure, but that's what I heard. Earlier models of this vest didn't have these small buttons. Other than this, they didn't have any other differences. Maybe color, but I'm not sure about this either. And later on, they started to use the RAV Paracleat model 07. Also, UKSF members used SOHPC, which is Special Operation Hard Plate Carrier, also made by MSA. They started to use it in around 2008-2009. And also they used Black Hawk Heli Vest, but as I know, only some SFSG members use that, not SAS or SBS. Now let's move to the webbing gear. And actually, you know what, before we move to the webbing gear used by UKSF members in TFB era, let's talk a little bit about some other body armor vest used by UKSF members a little bit later in multicam era. As I know, they started to use AVS, and also another thing, which is the topic of a lot of arguments and rumors on the Airsoft forum in United Kingdom. I saw the information that around 2012-2013 SBS got some amount of LBT 1694 in multicam color, and what I can say is that at least one picture online I saw with SBS member who had the LBT 1694 body armor vest in our 2 color. But as I know, the background of this story was that he just got it for one operation from his American colleague. So, finally talking about some webbing gear, they used chest rig Arctis, Ace Hydro, which is pretty close to PLC. PLC, by the way, also been used by UKSF members. Another interesting thing was ISPL West, which actually been popular with SAS in Great Britain, but it was there in black color, and what I'm talking about is its experimental desert version, which was pretty rare and been used only in Iraq for some time. And now we finally got to the shoes, and I apologize for any background noise that you may hear because the rain started. It's Miami, tropical climate, but I mean it's so British to hear the rain on the background, so you probably get used to that. And I'll just list a few the most popular shoes models. Of course, the first one was a Madel Desert Fox. Also Magnum Scorpio in both black and desert colors. Old British, how you call this, Highlander assault boots or combat assault boots or jumper assault boots, whatever you prefer to call it. The black leather British boots. And of course this American USGI desert boots with Panama sole being used. I stopped on these boots because it's the easiest one to get here in the United States. So now guys, let's see how all these things look together. And in the very end, guys, as a bonus, I will tell you the name of one interesting plate carrier that's been used by UKSF members but in Afghanistan, which is Black Ops Corporation plate carrier. I hope you like this video, subscribe to my channel, put like, and see you soon.